Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming. I'm delighted to be here today for this short presentation about the groundwater contamination in Dominican Republic. As you know, in Dominican Republic, the main city is Santo Domingo. In Santo Domingo, we have 3.5 million people, but normally they receive 400 million gallons of water per day, suggesting that each people receive about 112 liters of water per day. But really not, because 60% of the water is lost in the public water net. This is a very important problem that we have in Santo Domingo. The water source in Santo Domingo, we can divide it into three groups. First one is in northwest side, where 142 million gallons per day are coming. The other one is Valdesia Dam. Valdesia Dam is located in the west side of Santo Domingo. And from Valdesia, we receive every day 126 million of gallons of water per day. And the other is the field wells. We have different field wells in the northeast side of Santo Domingo, where we receive 138 million of gallons per day. Here, this tabulation, we can see the water distribution arriving to Santo Domingo every day. All this area here are the field wells that we have in the northeast and the east side of Santo Domingo. Groundwater in Santo Domingo are coming from a recent coral reef limestone aquifer with very high reserve. The typical limestone in Santo Domingo is this limestone here. This is recent reef limestone. As you can see here, porosity in the limestone is very, very, very high. You put the water here, and 5 minutes later, you can get the same water here, 2, 3, 4, 5 meters apart, because the porosity in the limestone here is the biggest in the different rocks that we have in Santo Domingo. All these limestones is located here. Santo Domingo City is here, but it's the same limestone going to the eastern part of the country. All this area in gray color is the same reef limestone that we have here. The second one, aquifer in Santo Domingo, is here, karstic limestone in Los Haitises. The third one is here, Neiva Hills, but not recent limestone. It's tertiary limestone, and here in Bauruco Hills. As we can see, all the groundwater in the Dominican Republic is coming from limestone. The limestone is very high porosity here, primary porosity here, and primary porosity here. But here is a secondary porosity because we have a very high tectonic event in all the southwest part of the country. Like here, for example, in California, you have north-south the San Andres Fault. San Andres Fault is responsible for the brecciated pattern inside the rocks that we have in the subsoil. By this reason, we can receive a very high amount of water inside the rock after the tectonic process that the rocks receive during millions and millions of years. This is the situation in the Dominican Republic here in the southwest part and in all this part. But it's not the same thing here and here. This is the eastern part of Santo Domingo. This is the touristic area of Boca Chica. Here in Boca Chica, all the water is coming from the subsoil. All this groundwater covering all the eastern part of Boca Chica, Guayacanes, Juan Dolio, San Pedro, Romana, Punta Cana, and Bávaro. more than 150 kilometers of touristic area only receive groundwater. Then, as you can understand, groundwater is very important in the Dominican Republic for the present and for the future of water supply for Dominican people and for all the tourists that are arriving every day. More than 5 million of tourists are arriving to the Dominican Republic every year. And they are depending of all the water wells. Matamamón, Los Marenos, La Joya, La Catalina, and Brujuelas Casui. All this area is dependent only of groundwater. This is a typical section in the area. You have the clay here, marly limestone here, limestone here. This is a typical geoelectrical section of the subsoil. Here, you can see the difference in the resistivity, conductivity here, and after, when you have the interpretation, you have here gravel and limestone, here a small amount of clay, and here this is marly limestone too, and here is the cover of clay that we have in the area. This is another typical section in the eastern part of Santo Domingo City. This is limestone here, barely limestone here. All this limestone here is reef limestone. All is reef limestone. Here is salt intrusion here. This is all salt water here. From here to the north is all fresh water. But here, the intrusion has been advancing 15 kilometers from the shoreline. This is the Brujuelas Casui aquifer. Taking in consideration that the salt water is going from the south to the north, we decide to put the water wells east-west. It's the only option that we have 6 years ago for the development of the water well, Brujuelas Casui, for all this area here. Because here, the salt intrusion is very, very, very high. Santo Domingo people never receive water supply during 24 hours per day. By this reason, people normally build his well in his jar. Everybody that can pay for the well, build his well in his jar. This is common, this is typical in Santo Domingo. In Santo Domingo, we have between 3 and 3.5 million people. But these people, only 10% have sewage service. The 90% of the population in Santo Domingo doesn't have it. This is a very big problem. That by this reason, when you have drought like 2012, 13, 14, this year, people is going to the groundwater, and everybody is taking groundwater, and now the groundwater exploitation increase. This is a typical well. But normally we have one well for the extraction of the groundwater and just 3 or 4 meters apart. We have in each house, in each school, in each hospital, in each tower, the septic well for the discharge, the excrement. Here start our fighting with the government and with the population. This is one of the main newspapers of the country. And normally we are speaking about this one. Septic well contaminate groundwater in Santo Domingo. In the front page of the newspaper. 1 week later, nothing happened. Because the government is not interested in the solution. One of the main problems is that everybody is building, without law, 2 wells. one well extracting water, the other well discharging the sanitary system of the house. 3 or 4 meters apart in a reef porous limestone where the flow moves easily from one side to the other side. And every day we have the same contamination. This is another one newspaper, the main newspaper of the country. In front page, put the same scene. Subsoil of Santo Domingo City is a bacteriological bomb. The main notice of the day, nothing happened. The day after, the same newspaper put in the editorial note of the paper, the bacteriological bomb in the subsoil. And they were calling the attention of the government about the alert. But today, nothing happened. The medical board of the country was agreeing with us in this problem. And they say to the government, they say to the people, they say to everybody, let's take attention with this sin that we are building in the subsoil of Santo Domingo, because everybody is sending every day all the septic discharge to the groundwater in Santo Domingo, and the problem increase. The same thing, some days after, here, another one of the main newspaper of the country. While construction are against public health. And you ask to the government, what is happening? And the government say, I don't know. This is our main problem in the country. Here is the same thing. Here, say, 3.5 million of people are using septic water every day. And everybody was asking to the government, what is happening about that this man is saying in the newspaper? The government saying, yes, it's okay. He's right, but we have no money for the solution. Meanwhile, everybody is drinking the septic well every day. And as you can understand, many people is angry with me with this thing. Because many people say me, yes, Osiris, you know, we know, but don't say it in the newspaper. Because it's ugly to say that we are drinking water from the sanitary. But this is the real problem in Santo Domingo. By here, another one, 90% of the water in Santo Domingo is coming from the septic system. The other newspaper, another one. The journalists are asking every day to the government, the water is pure or is contaminated? And the government say, yes, it's contaminated, but we have no money for the actual solution. The same thing. Here we were speaking about the books and speaking with the people about how important is the book prepared by Yanis about that. When the Congress called me some months ago about the problem, we were speaking about how much money we need in the government for this solution, for the sewage system in Santo Domingo. And as the government say that it doesn't have the money, okay, let's call to the private sector that in joint venture with the government can build a sectorial sewage system for each area in Santo Domingo City. But let us start with the solution. Still now, this project is over the table, but not approved. Everybody say, let's start. Many people in the government say, okay, he's right, let's start. But today, nothing happened. The water scarcity is very high. I was speaking in the press about a necessary meeting of the government, the president, with the leaders of the water sector in the country. Because until this moment, never the president was meeting with the leaders of the water sector. After that, they called in, and they were meeting, and they start taking decisions about the problem. The reality, if Santo, this is just a red notice. They start in operation new water wells in the northeastern part, according to the recent recommendation that we gave to the government and to the Congress. But the main problem is when will be starting with the sewage system for Santo Domingo, because we understand in Santo Domingo and in many countries around the world that the soil and the subsoil can receive each type of waste, solid or liquid. And in Santo Domingo, the problem increased and increased and increased every day. Everybody knows how big is the problem, but nobody takes decisions about that. And meanwhile, I will be fighting every day against the government and against the population about this groundwater contamination. Thank you very much.